Yeah.
You guys, yeah, do you want us to push two tables together?
What's that?
Do you want us to push two tables together so you guys aren't so squished?
Go ahead and go over there. You don't have a little seesaw pedal things, do you? Those are becoming my things. I got like four.
Interested? There's such a huge need there.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about chairs yet. We're going to have a little meeting here. And I warned you, may end up having to find another booth, but I'm not trying to chase you away. You can join us if you want. Once you hear what I'm talking about, you probably won't want to join us.
I'm supposed to know your name, I think, but
Huh?
I think I'm supposed to know your name.
I'm Sam.
Sam?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if we've met before.
Well, no, but you've been helping him at all. I don't
No,
know.
I
Oh,
haven't.
okay. Then I'm glad to meet you.
Yeah.
Wait 1 more minute. If someone just texted me. I'm going to wait 1 more minute to see if anyone's going to be.
Okay.
With 4 of you here, I'll be a little more casual. Well, you said Eleanor's going to be coming.
Was?
She's never quite had time. Here you go. Nice. Oh, what was that one? You know that things worth probably serious money. Especially if you have a box for it. What's that?
I remember those.
I do too.
Probably
We
got
have
some
one
out in
around the
my
house.
machine.
Do you have it? No, that's what I'm saying. That's pretty cool.
Most of them don't.
Yeah, they don't. You see that top? The thing I didn't like about it, I get impatient with it since you know it doesn't lay out flat. See, I know that you got a page in the country, and it's how you go in here.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a great use for that. Yeah.
Are you here for 10?
Hey, Joe.
Are you here
With that extender, you can do it without the extender. You can
Okay. Thank you. Okay. How are you? Good. How are you? I know I'm supposed to know you. I can't think of it. Todd.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you just bring it out? I love some of its collectibles.
Laura. Ready?
Yeah.
Never. Yeah, it's the same person.
But your wife's name is
Leslie. Leslie. Yeah, she's right.
yeah, right. Okay. And you got the copy?
Getting older.
Yep.
Now, for the good old days, sort of things.
We got some. Yeah. Kids came home for my birthday.
It'll actually depend on questions. I think with this small group, it'll probably be about 45 minutes.
They
I'm
were
gonna
driving by and thought they saw
I'm
it.
gonna get started and I'm gonna sit down because it's noisy enough in here. I don't want to raise above their voice because then I'm disrespecting their time. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I am doing 8 town calls throughout my district. I'm doing kind of my 4 county seats, this being one of them, and then there's 4 other towns. My district runs from Appleton down to Fairfax, and so it's pretty hard to make sure that I communicate to everyone if I just go to the county seats. So I'll also be in a handful of other cities. But I'm thankful for all of you coming here. I have kind of a little bit of an opening that I'd like to share with all of you about how things are going, and then I just open it up for questions. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you are not on my email list at this time and would like to be on the email list, this is my legislative email list. Just put your name and email address here. If there's something else you want me to know about from leaving here, you can jot that down. I also have business cards to where you can contact me. It has my address, email address, my office phone, and I actually put my mobile phone on there also. So you can, if anyone wants a business card, you can have one of those.
Thank you.
And my email updates during the summer, they might be a little more spread out. They might be once every 2 or 3, 4 weeks during session. And when we're getting kind of getting close to session, they would go around about every week. It's just I try to pick the thing that someone might be interested in out here. So before we get started, since this is a small, intimate group, why don't we go around and I'm going to probably be about 10-15 minutes and then we'll open up for questions. But why don't we go around the room and just so that everyone knows everyone. State your name.
Todd Winston.
Margaret Grossman.
Sam Smith.
Cece Turlow.
Tim Miller. Thank you all. So, did anyone want to write that down? You can actually go online and register yourself, but this just takes a step up. And you will not be... There's kind of a dividing line between legislative work and campaign work. This will not transfer over. I don't do that. It will not be spammed with my campaign stuff. Some of you are on that email list as well. So this is just for my legislature updates. Oh. Just put it down, and then you'll. If you didn't see an email in this last week, then you're not on the list. Okay. So. As a state representative in this district, I have 2 promises that I want to keep, 2 goals. Number 1 is to represent this district to the best of my abilities and what their interests are, what their wants and needs are. And to do that by communicating with, in the legislature, whether they're Republican or DFL, they're the House or Senate. Sometimes you see more of a divide between the House and Senate than you do DFL and Republican, which might surprise some people. The governor's office, we're also blessed to have, whether it be research or the staff in St. Paul is just incredible. So it's the revisor's office or the clerk's whoever. But to achieve those goals as best as possible, and then number 2, to be as communicative, communicate as best as possible to the people in my district. So therefore, like the email update sort of thing, when people email me, I usually respond that day, for sure within 24 hours. You catch me on a Friday afternoon, you might not see it until Monday morning, but I really try to do that. Return phone calls, come out to things like this. I believe that in the last few years I've kept those 2 promises. Now, right now in government, there's a lot of unhappiness and discontent with those of us in elected office, and I think it's warranted. I think that there's understandable frustration with the way that government works. I'm not here to argue against that, but what I am here to do is the only thing I can do is communicate with all of you and communicate what it is that I am doing and hopefully address some of those concerns. So I'm going to address some of those things right now, and then again, if there's any questions afterwards. So in the past couple weeks in session, I've heard chatter like, you get nothing done, you can't get along, you're was no compromise. On the tax bill, there was a grammatical error. There was a typo. They call it. What it was is there was an "and" instead of an or instead of an "and." And kind of what's going on there. The analogy I want you to think of to try and understand this is I assume all of you have seen The Wizard of Oz. Okay? Now when Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion go before they go into the Great Hall and the Wizard, there's this big head and says, "Who dares enter?" or whatever it is that he says. And there's flames and stuff like that. And it's very compelling. They're terrifying. I think they're probably going to die. The Cowardly Lion is showing his words. And he sets them off saying we have to go get the witch's broom and stuff like that. Well, they hear this, they go off and do it, and they come back and they find out, of course, it's the man behind the curtain. It's a cliche, look at the man behind the curtain. There was much hullabaloo about the end of session, and when we get into questions, you guys can raise that was really painted a certain picture that I don't believe is the accurate picture. So when they say we got nothing done, we actually got quite a bit. And all I'm going to do is go through some of the stuff that I accomplished, some of the things that I was willing to compromise on, because that's one of the things that people are willing to ask me, some of the things I'm not so willing to compromise on. So, what is it that I accomplished? Well, one of the biggest ones that's important out for this area is we passed out of the House of Representatives a bill that is going to either lease to own or own the Appleton business, which is very important for the town of Appleton. That took a lot of work. That was, from when I was first elected, I brought the issue up to see what it was we needed to get that open. And it just was coincidental that the state of Minnesota has a need for prison beds, so that's a good thing. I can tell you that it took me a long time even to work through my own caucus in the Republican side, to get people to understand the issues, get it across, to eventually get it on the House floor. It was argued against hard. There was about 5 different amendments on that bill to stop doing what I was going to do. It was part of the omnibus supplemental spending bill, and there was about 5 different amendments to stop it. We fought through that. We got it passed off of the House floor. Unfortunately, we have the chair of the Senate committee, Senate Judicial Committee, which we hear this, Senator Ron Latz, who didn't want it. And he wanted to do prison reform, sentencing reform instead. So that goes into one of the things that's on my list of what I compromised on. I listened to them and said I'm going to agree to sentencing reform. Some of it I didn't totally agree with. I don't support it. Again, that's what compromise is, right? So we did the sentencing reform, and yet they still sit no in the Appleton prison. But that's okay. We're going to keep moving forward. But I'm very proud of the work that we did. I'm very proud of the people in Appleton. Incredible work that they did coming out there. They had over 50 people that came out in the hearing. And the work of the leadership out there, Mike Weaver, the county administrator, he was great. Chad Sulte, the mayor. A lot of those people did great work. So we're going to continue on there. The second thing that I accomplished was, again, out of the House, we got the Veterans Home. So I won't get into it because Montevideo will get into more details because they want to have a Veterans Home in Montevideo. It takes both bonding and also an agreement on operating spending in the future, which is very difficult thing to do. Didn't quite make it across the line on getting it passed in the law. We went a long way towards getting that done. A big thing out here, Highway 212, we said we want to talk about Highway 12, well, we got Highway 212. Highway 212 has very heavy truck traffic, particularly agriculture. And the problem is with a lot of greater Minnesota highways is the way that MnDOT does rankings on spending money on transportation. Highway 12, 212, 23, 14, there's probably a couple others, just tend to fall low on the list, just the way the ranking system works. Well, a few years back, what they did was they came up with what's called a corridor of commerce, and they identified certain highways that fall into this corridor of commerce. And what it is it's really a fudge factor. So if Highway 12 doesn't fit in MnDOT's high up on their list, it was determined to be a corridor of commerce, and it just bumps it up is what it does. It's just a fudge factor. Well, when they did that, for some reason, Highway 212 wasn't included on the corridors of commerce, so it just keeps not quite getting there. And we think it has a lot to do with the easternmost part of Highway 212 is within the the realm of the Met Council, and I won't get into the Met Council right now, but that's where we think the problem is. They've worked for probably about 6 to 8 years now on trying to do something to get some money for Highway 212. I recognized, rather than trying to get direct money, let's just make it a corridor of commerce. I got that passed, unfortunately, into the bonding bill, which we'll get to in a minute, but I got that passed. And that was a very big deal for anyone. We got it from Chaska all the way to Montevideo, which was actually pretty difficult. So,
That's going to be where
well, not yet, because when we get to the bonding bill, I'll explain it. Nursing homes. We had a system about the way the system for reimbursement from the state for nursing homes, the way that they did it about 12, 14, 16 years ago made sense at the time for the economy that we had a lot of things, but they had not changed it. And in fact, what was happening is the nursing homes were not getting reimbursed an adequate amount of money, and the private pay in Minnesota has to be the exact same amount. So these nursing homes have been hurting for money badly, and it's been getting worse. What that's effectively done in the biggest area is with employees. They have not been able to pay employees. And so they did a lot of testimony last year. I'll never forget the one guy, a director, came in and testified. He said his top employee, he worked with her to try and keep her because she wanted to leave. She had another job offer. And he wasn't able to keep her. She went and took another job, working behind the counter at Dairy Queen. Now, I'm not disrespecting anyone that works at Dairy Queen, but when we're comparing the care of the elderly in nursing homes, if she takes a better paying job at Dairy Queen, we have a problem in the state of Minnesota. Those of you that know me well know I don't like to spend taxpayer money, and we believe that this was one area I did support fully. You know, we ended up spending about $141 million annually. I think it's about, maybe that's over the buy-in, $141 million. But we stepped up, and I can tell you that the nursing homes in this area benefited greatly from it. The Milan Bridge, anyone here know about the story of the Milan Bridge? So the Milan Bridge, you know what it looks like, right? The truss bridge. It needs either repair or replacing. Well, the way the system was set up is that they determined that they were going to repair it. Well, that doesn't help with modern day equipment. That doesn't help with a lot of, basically the community they wanted it replaced. But there were outside forces that wanted to repair it. The Historical Society, the Corps of Engineers, and stuff like that. So this is not legislation, but I worked with some other really good people, and it took a process of about 9 months. But they're now going to replace the Milan Bridge instead of repair it. McRae, it was very important to them. They have a 4-day school week. The Department of Education and the governor were very much against them keeping the 4-day. I was able to keep that for them. Another story, a long ways away from here, down in Fairfax. They have just south of the Fort Ridgely Golf Course, and the DNR owns it, and it's losing money. And I totally respect the fact that, and the DNR wants to close it, and I respect the fact that the DNR says it's not in our mission to have a golf course, and it's certainly not in our mission to operate a loss. I totally understand that. But what did happen is these agencies sometimes don't communicate so well. And they were not communicating with this group called Friends of Fort Ridgely, which had said for the past 4 or 5 years, let's work out a plan to make something work. They didn't do that. They just came and said this spring, we're shutting it down on July 5th. It's closed. So again, through a lot of meetings and through a lot of work, we've been able to do 2 things. Number one, we got the DNR to agree, through an agreement, we got an agreement to keep it open through the end of December. And then they're working on what the alternatives are in the future. Now, the reason why I bring up that and bring up the Milan Bridge and stuff like that is it's important to understand that as a state representative, not all of our work is a vote on the floor. It's what we're doing in these communities. The Milan Bridge is, like you said, you weren't even aware of the Milan Bridge. I can tell you out near Milan and going out to Locker Carl School, it's a huge issue because when the school buses go past, they're about trading rear view mirrors. It's very tight. So it's a big deal for them. So we need to deal with that. So, what's that? It's going to be replaced now. So some of the other things that are very important to me, and this one's important to CC, we have a human trafficking problem in Minnesota, prostitution, for some labor too, but the prostitution is a big area. And we have a big problem with children being human trafficked. A lot of the work that Girls Ranch does is with girls that have been trafficked. And so Matt Dean, the chair of HHS, in my first year said, I'd like you to carry this bill. And there was a bill that was passed called Safe Harbor in 2011, which has a bunch of components, but the most basic part of it is they had a problem in that when they would find an underage person in prostitution, the only vehicle was to arrest them and put them through that system. The criminal, it was criminalization of it, which wasn't helping them at all. And so the significant thing we got is children under the age of 18, now instead of being criminalized, they're viewed as victims and they get put into a different run. And that's part of why they're able to go to Hunger Girls and places like that. So in 2015, they carried that bill and we got more funding for that. And this year we got even more funding, which is tough to do and a big thing to do. And we got some legislation passed that also, what happens now is when just the way the law was written, when a girl turns 18, they become an adult. And they were forced out of the system. Oftentimes their only option is back on the streets. So what we did was we extended that age that they can be in the programs and stuff through age 24, which is what they recommend. The reason why I reference Cece is that when we got to know each other, she was one of the big helps in helping us get, there's also Jeff Moore, who's with the Family Partnership, and
Beth Holder.
yeah, Beth, with what group is she
The
with?
Link.
So we work with a lot of groups on stuff like that, but I was very proud tonight, and I'm going to continue in even deeper with that. I'm actually helping Cece on a project now because that's so important to me and my wife. The other thing that we accomplished, and I'll kind of move on to some other things, was we had Minnesota law always intends to do well, but you have conflicting issues sometimes, and so you get funny things a lot. And I don't mean good funny, I mean like bad funny. And so there's always, you hear the HIPAA laws, of course, for data privacy. Well, other data privacy laws are in place to protect our interests. But what's happened is when it came to child protection services, there was a privacy law in place where someone got placed. John Caruth, Miller, good to see you here today, John. So I'm just covering a couple things. I'm kind of getting the end of my run on a couple things to catch up. So I'm just covering some of the things that we've accomplished over the last couple of years. Just about wrap up with that. And then once I cover a couple more things, I'm going to open up for questions. So about 5 more minutes, and then we'll open up for questions. So you came up good time to get in the first 10 minutes. So what there's, because of the data privacy, what was happening is if there is someone who entered in through a violation, entered into the predatory offender list, basically the sex offender list, and that person was living in a house with a child, Child Protection Services by law could not be notified. Not only were they not notified, they could not be notified. And that was, the counties would have a problem with that in certain cases, as you might imagine. They also had some other court case, I won't get into that, we fixed that. This was kind of the bulk of it. And that was, I carried that, and we got it passed into now Child Protection Services can get that information. Doesn't mean the person's going to be pulled out of the house, because there's extenuating, but they at least have the ability to communicate between the two agencies. The reason why that's close to me is the people that know me and my wife when she was 13 years old was in a house with a stepfather who had abused her the whole life. And she went into foster care for a year. Well, I hope, thank goodness the laws have changed on this, but he only got 90 days worth of release as a sentence for doing that. Got her pregnant and everything. But by the time she went back into the house, stepdad was back in the house. To which he tried to do the stuff again. And so that was one of those things. And I bring that up as an example is I want you to know that there's work that we do that aren't always about a highway, which is very important work, but there are some things that are very important we take care of, and I believe that I was responsible. So some of the things that people say is, well, you just can't seem to compromise. So I thought, I'll say, here's what I compromised on, and here's what I don't compromise on, and I won't give you an exhaustive list because I have to go more than 5 minutes. What I have compromised on is I mentioned the sentencing reform so we can get the prison open. The $35 million broadband initiative. Now, the $35 million broadband, a lot of people are like, well, how is that a compromise? Well, first of all, I don't like to spend taxpayers' money, but I did hear the taxpayers saying they want broadband, especially in greater Minnesota. But what I don't like doing is when we spend taxpayers' money is to spend it foolishly. And there is still part of the law with broadband where that $35 million is not going to be used as efficiently as it should be, in my opinion. However, in order to move forward, and I know there was lots of numbers, there was everything from $200 million all the way down to zero on money that was going to be put in this. And I always told people, wait until you see what comes out of the conference committee between House and Senate. That's the one that matters, and that's what came with the $35 million. With $35 million, it's going to go into extending broadband. Are you okay? Extending broadband. And then there's federal money that's also to the tune of about $80 million will come in here. Now we have more work to do because I'm concerned with the way that the law is written is we're going to have what they're calling donut holes. The way the money is going to be distributed is it's going to be easier to get into the townships than it is in the kernels. So a town like Benson, it's going to be tougher to get that money, but we'll work on that. The tax relief, the tax bill was vetoed by the governor. I thought it was important to have. Money for the veterans pension, which we did keep out of it. Someone asked that. We do. The veterans pension was in another bill and it's kept. But we're either the first state or one of the first states to recognize the student loan crisis, and so we had a tax credit for people that are paying those student loans. We had a small business property tax. Now what Minnesota has is we have a statewide property tax. So we have a regular property tax locally. From Minnesota in about 1991, I was told, put on top of that a state property tax on businesses and on vacation homes. But most of it's businesses. So a business like this, depending on the value of the property, just like any other property tax, sends to St. Paul a certain amount of money, and it's also indexed for inflation. Well, just for the sake of argument, let's say this property is worth $500,000. That was about $3,500 to $4,000 a year just going to St. Paul. Wasn't staying local with the property taxes, and we want to see the money stay local. So we had to kind of compromise on some things, but we got it capped at the first $100,000, which is worth, ends up being about, the way it works, ends up being about $1,000 per business, so we were able to get that. And then we did a real big one for farmers. We had the Benson levy, the question last year in the election for the levy, and it failed. And in part, I know that for agriculture, they were carrying 80% of the burden. We can't do that. So we came up again with a compromise version of a bill where basically what we passed was 40% of agriculture's burden will be covered by the state. We wanted 50, but we got 40%. That was all in the tax bill. Now, where I compromised is there's tax relief called the working family credit. And what it's intended is for families that have low income but are out working, they get a tax credit. And in principle, I don't have a problem with that, but I think it's sort of a core tool for the intent, because without me getting too deep, what it ends up doing is it ends up providing, in my opinion, incentive, because you often see that they aren't paying any income taxes anyway. They end up seeing income, and it sort of incentivizes single parent, lots of kids, some of those things. And those are virtues that I think we need to take care of people that are single moms, that are single parents, but sometimes policy has a way of driving what they do in society, and I think that needs to be fixed. But I was willing to support that because that was something important to the governor to be able to do that. So what I won't compromise, there are some other things I think I compromised on, but I'll wait for your questions if you want to know anything. What I won't compromise on, when you talk about Highway 12, and I'm learning more and more, I need to state this in the beginning. We talked about the transportation bill. First of all, we had a transportation bill last year in 2015. The governor said no transportation bill until next year. So we went into this year and tried to work forward with it. We could not come to an agreement because of Southwest Labor. Everything is because of Southwest Labor, although we're at the impasse right now. And that's one thing that I won't compromise on. I will not support Southwest Labor. I will not. But another thing I won't compromise on is I will not compromise on there's a lot of talk about a gas tax and tab increases, and we don't need to do that because we have enough money. One of the things that I've come to understand is people, because we didn't have a transportation bill, someone said many people said we have no money for transportation, so I called research. This year, in fiscal year 2016, Minnesota is spending $2.78 billion in transportation. And that from 2008 is up 58% from where we were in 2008. So we are spending significant money. We are increasing it. We do see a need for more, particularly when it comes, the biggest area out here is the roads in small towns, the biggest roads is here, and then also on the bridges out on the county roads and on the township roads, because there just isn't enough money. Anyone knows those, especially those township roads, some of them need work. So our bill this year, we put in about $650 million. We couldn't get the transportation bill passed, so we put it in the bonding to get $650 million additional to that 2.78, the number I was forget. The 2.78 billion, the 650 million for 1 year infusion, additional 650 million. And then on inside stuff, we set aside another $500 million next year that wasn't dedicated. We set it aside that if the economy goes the way we expect, then we can spend that on transportation. We just don't want to spend it going down. So anyway, so I'm not going to do gas tax for cabs. I talked about, I don't remember if I talked about this, but there was a real push this year for euthanasia and assisted suicide. I'm not going to compromise on that. Opening Appleton, I'm not going to compromise. I got the bill last year. We referred to it very briefly, maybe somewhat bluntly, as the bathroom bill. With the growing problem in Minnesota where the schools want boys going to girls' bathrooms. I'm fighting against that. I am not going to back down on that one. And then when I go back to the Wizard of Oz image of, who dares enter my whatever, go get the witch's broom. There's two things that we are not addressing in Minnesota that, especially in rural Minnesota, are huge problems. The first biggest one is healthcare. It is a huge expensive. You're probably old enough, or you? I said probably. Let me go with someone who's under. Let me just rather than use someone as an example and get myself in trouble. I can tell you that when you get into Twin Cities, it's only about 5% of the people that are on private health care, private health insurance. Out here, because of farming, because of small business and other things, it kind of simply put, if you're not working for a school or a government agency or just a couple other things, you're on a private health care plan. They went up 40 to 60% last year, and my agents are telling me that they expect another 30 to 40% increase this year. We've got to deal with it. And insure. We've spent $300 million on that. In our proposal, and it's still not working, we were proposing to go into the federal exchange. We're working on that. But that's the one thing we need to talk about. The other thing we need to talk about out here that needs to be dealt with is property taxes in agriculture. There's someone in Kansas County now, they passed a school referendum for Wilmer High School, and so that's where we're seeing that, and their human service bill is going up because of the growing minority community in Wilmer. Their property taxes are seeing the most out here. He showed me a tax bill this year where he's about 180 to 200 acres. I forget the exact amount. He showed me his tax bill, and this year it's $54 an acre. First of all, I told this high. A more stark thing is he said in 2009, the same piece of property was $14 an acre. That's the increase that he's seen. There was one person that told me, he didn't show me his tax bill, one person that told me that lived right near the high school. So I'm told Wilmer Township is going to hit the hardest on things. He told me one piece of land he's paying $73 an acre property taxes. And I'm not picking on the counties because they have a lot of mandates that they have to do. They're spending the money that they haven't spent. So healthcare and property taxes are the two biggest things that we have to deal with out here. And I won't compromise on that. I think that's my whole spiel. I probably had a clean ending before that, but I forget what it is. So let me just, I just wanted to tell you some of the things we have done that I'm willing to compromise on, or I'm not willing to compromise on, but now what questions do you all have on things that I didn't address before?
One thing, question. The other thing, we defeated that school bond issue a year ago. And now it seems as though the school board has bought that same amount of money in repairs. And they won't have to get a hold on that. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
And our taxes aren't paying a hell of a lot of land tax.
So what the legislature passed, I think it was 2015, it could have been 2013. And to be honest, last year, 2015, we beefed it up a little bit. It was something that I compromised on, probably happy I compromised on it. We empowered, there's rules by which a school board can increase spending on something, and the state really restricts them. And when it comes to like levies, you have to have an election for a levy, right? Well, what we did on deferred maintenance is what they call it. We gave them some other with just the school board passing.
So you're the reason that they got this $18 million in return.
I can't answer that for sure. I can tell you that that's fine, but he was the one who gave you even more of it. That's fine. But I'm just saying, in 13 or 14, what they did was basically they bumped the this is really convoluted thing, but in simple numbers, they were enabled with just school board passage to increase, I think it's from $200 per student to I think $500 per student, $500 or $600 per student. And I think what we did last year, as part of the compromise, because the governor wanted it, was I think we increased it a little bit more. But I couldn't tell you how much. So I can't say for sure that we're the ones that caused that on there, on the 18 million. But I can tell you that deferred maintenance should never have added up to the 18 million. So I don't know how we did that. One of the concerns that I do have is that the election or the levy referendum process, the rules of it are more complicated than the IRS. And I think that's on purpose too. Down in Renville County, there was a school district that had a referendum a couple of years ago, and they failed like 3 times in a row. But then based on the rules, and the regulating rules, they did it in only one polling location. It was on a lousy Saturday, and they officially advertised that they didn't. In my opinion, they really rolled the land laws. They did it just barely within the number of days that they could do it. But I know they did it because they needed to get it. So I'm almost not even faulting the school district for doing that per se, but that's some of the stuff that's happening. The Lower School District levy, they sort of did the same thing. They did their own, they did their own in the middle of Harvest. So guess who wasn't there? And then Harvest, I think it was Plain. I apologize. So yes, I think I have to take some credit for that. I apologize. I wasn't, you're saying that they have that 18 million all figured out?
They have anticipating that they will get what I do.
I'm not the cause of all that because the dollar amount that we allowed them to do, you're talking like hundreds of thousands, and I'm saying like maybe a couple $100,000 to do sort of, and it doesn't add up to the numbers that you're talking about.
So it just seems like nobody down at the state realizes how the population has left this area, how little tax base we have out here, how different schools are. For instance, Wilmer has a big school census. KMS has a large one. Benson, when I graduated from the Benson High School, I think there was 158 classes. Now I think granddaughter and great-granddaughter start school pretty soon. I think there's only 40 something.
No, I agree. And we do have to do something about that. That's why we did that thing where at least the state pays up 40. We asked for 50, but we got 40% of the levy. It still is not a solution because it's just kind of shifting the money around. We got to be all. I have a theory that I have not been able to prove by science, but when I tell you my theory, you'll say, I bet you that makes sense. The state of Minnesota, there was an IRS report that came out last year that in the past 4 years, like $10 billion of wealth has left the state of Minnesota. And so there's been some discussion about wealth leaving, but even whether that number, whatever that number means, if someone's leaving, and I can see this in Princeburg, people that don't understand Princeburg, we have like 5 companies in Princeburg, and we have a lot of people who do pretty well in Princeburg. But if they have their assets and they don't like something in Minnesota, their assets are in stock, cash, or they can cash out because it's this farm site that they have, whatever. But they can move their assets out of this state. What's the one asset that can't move out of this state? You can't pack it up and move it over to South Dakota. So what I see happening, again, I can't put gun signs, but what I see happening is there's a greater demand and greater demand on assets of the state. Land being one of them, you can't go anywhere, so the burden, especially because the population is less, as the burden increases on the landowners. And that's why I said it it's so disappointing and somewhat shocking to the system, but going from $14 up to $54, $56 per acre. We have to figure out a way, and I don't have to see that. So, what other questions?
How do you get the government out of the small business? Now, I'll use the example of where my wife and I are starting talking about this. And so you go to the Department of Ag, because that's what classified under. We wanted to have a sealed floor put in, and the Food and Drug Administration has approved the sealed floor. The Department of Ag won't approve it because it's a different department. Why are we? There is so much of that going on.
Yes. So I just had a phone call yesterday. Someone wants to reopen the meat locker in Appleton, and they ran into, they'll get their permit within 30 days, and so they started contracting. After 30 days, and they were told mandatory 30 days. Like, get your information, and they actually spent a bunch of money doing a different floor, probably some other things, and they were really frustrated because they said this is a meat locker that closed a couple years ago. So I said, how can it be that politically different? One of the things I'm trying to work on, and this is going to take a while, I addressed it in the ag. I'm in the ag finance committee, and I think the permitting process is too burdensome in Minnesota. I also think it's antagonistic versus facilitator. So what I mean by that is there's sort of an attitude of you have to prove to us. Rather, I see the departments partner up and come alongside. So the thing I did specifically was to animal agriculture, because I was the animal agriculture growing this thing, and I hear the dairy and pork specifically. I see it in poultry, especially turkeys also. But my biggest concern was in dairy and pork. Those industries are leaving the state over when they grow. They're growing over the board down in Iowa or over in the Dakotas, and I've heard it. So we did an animal ag store study. That came back, and part of the information showed our permitting process. And by law, and with them it's the MPCA. By law, the MPCA, which was passed a couple of years ago, has to have all permits done within 60 days. That sounds reasonable. But they get to decide when that clock starts. And so they had down on this list that their average day of permitting was like 45.4 days. And they were very proud of that. And they said, you can't tell me a single producer that I've talked to that's been, for sure, under 60. Most of them are 90 to 120 days. Some of them are in these couple of years. But these are people that have other barns. So it isn't like they don't know what they're doing. So I said, we could do better. In the Department of Agriculture and food safety, that's one of the areas that I'm hearing they're saying they're understaffed, so we need to address that.
Because we filed for a permit in the beginning of February, and we weren't actually approved until the beginning of May.
The meat locker was told that they were there's like 60 businesses in front of them or something like that, so it may be up to another 90 days. And that's difficult because when you decide to open up a business, you're spending money. And you need to start revenue. So how can we do better? Specifically with permitting. The MPCA, Commissioner Stein came to my office a week after I griped, and he said, I'm telling you, we do better. Here's my top guy in permitting. He said, we do better than that. I'm doing better than that. Well, when the Sugar Beet Cooperative, now it's a slightly different permitting that we're talking about. The Sugar Beet Cooperative has been waiting for years for something. Because now I was told it might be another 2 years. I wrote to Commissioner Stein and said that this was going to be a smoother process. So holding the agencies accountable is one of the best ways. But that takes time. You got to write the letter. You have to wait for the response and stuff like that. But you're the second person in 2 days. Now,
Did I hear you mention one agency was short staffed? People?
that was the excuse of the MPCA also.
Yeah, and DNR would have that same thing.
Yes.
I'm pretty much involved with DNR a lot of that for years.
Can't imagine.
But these regulations are for federal. There are different industries. Coal industry, oil industry, all the energy industry. And regulations are killing us.
It is. And the federal stuff I can't deal with. I can't deal with the state. One thing I can't deal with the state is that particularly the MPCA as it relates to EPA stuff, the EPA says this, the MPCA tradition says we want to use this. I fully believe that they want ionized air and distilled water in the state of Minnesota. But then when it comes to the DNR, in my opinion, they're just a bloated agency. Now, there are a couple of divisions in the DNR that actually kind of do some good work. So there's like 5 or 6 different divisions, so I can blanket all DNR. But when it comes to stuff like you're talking about, again, I think our agencies are antagonistic to the people they serve, and they should be facilitated. So,
You don't have any wiggle. You know, when you talk to them, you don't have an out. I mean, it's not like you and I can talk and you talk about compromise. I mean, we're talking about, I have a doorway, I have a hand sink right here, and because it's technically a different room and there's a doorway, it made me put a hand sink right here, 6 feet away. This is not, and there's no, it's Mr. Witsa, if you don't understand, that's a different room. There's no door there. You can't, and you can't fight them because guess what happens if you fight them?
you just lose.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. And I can't single-handed. There are other people that are in my camp with this stuff, so don't get me wrong. But I'm saying I can't, of course, can't single-handedly address those things. But I do believe the one thing I am pleasantly surprised by is that whenever I have had a gripe, I have had, if not the commissioner themselves, a deputy commissioner come and meet with me very quickly and want to remedy it. Because I will tell you, in my opinion, this is one truth I see with the agencies. They view what they call us elected officials, vacationers, because we're there for 5 months, this year 2.5 months out of the year. And so they're working year round. And again, a lot of people doing a lot of good work. So it's always tough to, hey, owner. One thing they don't like is when us legislators do start asking questions, because then they do have to account for certain things. We are doing there's some stuff the University of Minnesota is doing with aborted baby organs that we really don't care for. And we think they broke law. They say they don't. The Office of Legislative Auditor, we put out, we're getting audited on this. We're going to know the truth in 1 year. Agencies don't like that. So usually if I have a problem, let's say you call them and say, I'm warning on this, and I call them and say, I have some plans I'm warning on this, they won't respond. So that's again, I call that a pleasant surprise because these agencies are so big. The DNR, their budget is over $800 million a year. Yeah, which is 125.
So my question is that you're my go-to person.
Yes, absolutely. That's a point I was going
I'll
to make.
take one of those businesses first.
And I will.
It's, you know, we also have a local egg inspector, and her name is Doris, and she's wonderful. But when I talked to her about getting my final inspection taken care of, she totally knows what's going on. See, because she's like, so have you have any problems with permitting? And I said, well, there was some flooring, and there was the same problem. She goes, oh yeah. She knows exactly. So, but we cannot, as citizens, I own them. You know, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, they work for you.
I own them.
You're talking about the people that work there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they work for you, I know, and that's an attitude that we have to change. Because I agree with you 100%. I work for you guys. Now, the only slight difference is if I take you off, you vote me out of office, right? Not only can't you vote an agency person out of office, but if they're given the position of director or higher, and I can tell you the term director is loosely used. They effectively have tenure. You cannot remove them, but for malfeasance or something like that. But basically, you can't get rid of them. And what tends to happen is if someone does something that is not really good, they just get transferred to another part of the department is what happens. So I understand that frustration. Another challenge that these agencies have, I've seen this directly in the MPCA, but I'm assuming that in other places, is of course they get promotions, transfers, on and on and on again. And so the person you're working with today, oftentimes is not the person you're working with a year later. You're starting from scratch. And so And there is some law that law shouldn't be left to interpretation, but when you talk about what's a room, some of it's left to interpretation. And I know as you're getting upset with that person in the room, you're thinking, don't get upset because now they're going to tell me to put 2 sinks in.
No.
Right?
Exactly. Or it's gonna be delayed on your permit.
I'll take this moment just to say this. I can't promise that I can fix all those things. One thing I can promise is I understand it. That's one of the biggest things. People say government doesn't work. That's what's happening. So what other questions?
This is a matter of taxation. Financing, school construction.
Right.
Has that been changed or is that just maintained?
It was in the tax bill, but it got vetoed.
So it's just hanging.
Well, it's hanging. I can tell you, I'll touch on special session right now because it addresses this. There's a lot of, eventually one of you are going to ask, is there going to be a special session? I don't know is my best answer. But if you were to say, what would you be bargaining for as of right now, I don't think we're going to have special session. The governor's making some demands that he has to know are not going to fly. They aren't going to fly with me for sure, but I don't think, even regardless of me, I don't think they're going to fly with anyone else. But even with special session, I'm hearing nothing about a tax bill. So unless that starts showing up soon in negotiations, I think all that tax bill stuff is probably dead in the water. I can't say it is, so don't walk away or thinking it's dead in the water. But when I hear them not even talking about it, it's that's hanging there, but I like the position that's in going into next year. Because they had said with a little bit of sentencing reform, we're going to have no need for any more expanded prison space. And with the Department of Corrections own numbers, that's 100% false. It's not true at all. Matter of fact, a lot of the people that are leaving the state prisons are going to probably be going into the county jails. The same county jails that are full of state prisoners. So they're going to have to go somewhere. So next year, there's still going to be just as much in need in that prison as there was this year. And they're still going to get they wanted to spend $141 million for 500 beds in the prison. Rather than purchase this out here. You know, they're going to get more of that again next year. So eventually they're going to have to go over this prison. It's my top priority. I told people 2 years ago, I said it's the one campaign promise I'm going to make. I'm going to do everything possible to get that prison open. And I didn't even know if I had the ability to do it, but I was going to make it my top priority. And it continues to be my #1 priority out here for things out here. Meaning when I say that, just so you understand, there are some higher order things on like life versus abortion. Those are kind of more important to me than a prison. I want you to know that. But when it comes to matters that are important to this district, we have to prison.
Or light rail down there, is that still getting enough work for the governor?
That's what's holding up special session. He wants a Southwest Light Rail or nothing. And
What is your opinion? Are people using the light rail that's there now?
here's some things. Here's the things that I will address, and you decide on this. The Southwest Light Rail, for 2 numbers, $1.6 billion for 12 miles, and I've heard $1.82 for 14 miles. Just take your pick. Those are the 2 numbers. I don't know why there's 2 different numbers, but those 2 numbers I've seen. Sold for $100 million a mile for light rail. Now that's to install it. There is no deferred maintenance. There is nothing to pay for stuff on the road. Also, here's another thing. With their own numbers, with the department's own numbers, taxpayers are subsidizing 70% of the cost of people riding there. Now the numbers I've heard are worse. So let me tell you what numbers I've heard. North Star, it's not a light rail, but it's kind of the same formula. North Star, on average, the average dollar they did an audit, and on average is subsidized $24 per rider per ride. So let's say you commute to work, every day we're subsidizing that person to ride $48 a day for one person to ride. The Green Line, I was told that the Green Line from St. Paul campus, I forget where they said we were going. Maybe they said Twins. I don't know if Green Line even goes to Twins, so I forget which one it was. But it's a decent distance. We are subsidizing, do my backwards math, about $34, $35 per ride. So When I say absolutely no to the light rail, that's right. It's irresponsible.
How long does the governor have left? Has he got, how long does he still have?
2 years, 4 years.
2 more years? Is our position as Senate down there strong? Yep.
No, the other has a majority, and election years are funny, really funny, but I would say that right now the Senate is unlikely to change majorities. But I will tell you that in 2010 it wasn't supposed to change and it did. In 2012 it wasn't supposed to change and it did. So it's a long ways to go with that. And it's not clear what the House will be either. So the only person we do know for sure is our governor. He's not one of my favorite people. The governor is the only person we know for sure is not one of my favorite people.
I like him for your,
So any other questions?
what do you think about, kind of minor
XCC.
Casey, are you leaving this?
Eventually, probably not till later towards winter. Yeah, no, I'll be
You
around
know
for
what
a
our
while.
new adventure is, right?
Well, I think I read about it.
Yeah, St. Cloud, with trafficked women 18 and older, there's a huge need. So start the program there. So, okay.
We'll
Thank
see.
you.
Thanks
Sorry, I have to run out.
That's okay. Thank you. We sat over at the new good friends, I think. So,
Yeah, very much so.
So
Okay.
it's great to see her.
Thank you.
I'll be
What was
back.
the question? I'm sorry.
This is kind of a minor thing compared to fixing all those hundreds of millions of dollars. But it just seems, from my perspective, as far as the Minnesota legislature is concerned, nothing gets done until right at the tail end. And then there's not time enough to do it. And then you go into special sessions. And we got paid, all these legislators, all the time there, and then they go into extra sessions. They would pay them there. What do you think the idea of that if they didn't do their job when they're supposed to, you don't have to pay them?
Well, I have two parts to that answer. Number one thing to clarify, we don't get paid to go to special session. I don't get paid anymore. I get nothing. I have about a $31,000 and change salary that I get for America. That's it. Now, the thing that's sort of the gray area is when we're in session, we get a per diem, but you can choose whether you accept the per diem. And even during regular session, you can go 0 up to 7 days. It's $66 a day. You can go 0 to $66 a day. Okay, I am at 66 a day for 5 days a week while we're in session. When we go to special session, I don't take the per diem. And I would say that the far majority of people don't take the per diem either, because of the sentiment of the people saying they should get paid for this. And most of our expenses that we cover on per diem, like for me, I leave on Sunday nights and I'm gone until Thursday nights. So just living in St. Paul, there's certain expenses that tend to be expensive. But if I'm going for a day, there's another thing, if we have a special session, it's going to be a day, 1 day. But now, as far as the system, the question that you started with asking the question was, how can we change our system to make it less like this? Well, there's a couple things I wouldn't change. I'll explain myself in a second, but I agree. We need to find a better way to do this. I don't know what that is. I know that there's a study to look at how other states are doing certain things. But also, one of the other misunderstandings is I look at transportation bill. Back in 2015, we had a transportation bill that the governor said, we're not going to look at transportation here, so it was carried over to this. It was in conference committee, so the House and Senate already had it. And they revisited a lot of the stuff that they met all session on this. But what happens in a session is you get this much information in the beginning and you whittle it down to the end. Okay? And that's how you don't get, and there's things that get passed along the way. So when there's kind of the statement, we get nothing done, there was probably just as many bills passed this year as about the same number as any other year. I don't know how many that is, if it's 60 or 80 or 120, but it's in that, it's however many bills. But as we get near the end, the bigger bills, especially the spending bills, you have this process where the House has its proposal, the Senate has its proposal, and the irony is those proposals are more for, I think, immediate consumption than anything, because it doesn't matter until you get targets. And what a target is basically a budget that the governor, the House, and the Senate agree on, saying we're going to have a targeted amount of X amount of dollars on this, on education, for example. Which means you're going to have to figure out a compromise bill within that dollar amount. That's how you kind of discipline yourself to keep it in the budget, okay? So now I'm going to jump over to the bonding bill because that's the one that didn't pass at the end. The House had a bonding bill, the Senate had a bonding bill, the governor had a bonding bill. Ours was $600 million, the Senate's was 1.2, I think, and the governor's was like 1.8. That's a lot of difference there, right? That's a huge difference. So as we get to that point to where we have the conference committee, the governor was not agreeing to a target. Again, here's the good. I hope you're still following me. I don't want to throw too many things on this plate. But the good news about our system is because we have to have a balanced budget, and because we have an end of session date that is constitutional at the end, it forces things to get done. One of the big reasons why the federal government tends to get literally nothing done is because they have no deadlines. They don't have to pass a budget. So, but the downside to having a deadline is that people can and will use it against you. They know that it's there, so it becomes part of the puzzle, right? So with the bonding bill, we did not get the target until 5 days before end of session. We couldn't put together a final bill whether we wanted to or not. We could talk a lot about all that stuff, we can't put it together. But here's one of the good things is even with 5 days left, there was nothing new in that bonding. We had discussed all of it in committee or as a caucus, the DFL caucus. Now we don't all know what's going to be in it in the end, but all the different projects. There's about $5.5 billion worth of bonding projects. But with 5 days left, we were given a target, and a conference committee between the House and Senate got together and started shuffling it back, saying, what are we going to put in to that bonding? They came out about 24 hours in advance, maybe a little bit less, but on Saturday, they came out with an agreed-to conference report is what it's called. But the conference report requires a certain number of signatures of House members and a certain number of signatures Senate members. It's typically like 4 and 4. You have 4 from each side. Well, we did not get that 5th conference report signature from the Senate. Let me get my math right here. I think this is the way it went. Until 11:30 at night. No, I think we got a little bit early, but it had to be printed out. So anyway, but in any case, it was 11:30 at night when we first got here. We had to be done at midnight. That's when we first had a bill that we could have voted on. I could have made a motion 6 hours earlier and done something like we need to vote on the bonding bill. It doesn't matter. It didn't exist until that point. So we got a half an hour time. But the bonding bill that we have is everything that we've been discussing for the past year and a half. Okay? It's just you see line items and the way it's amazingly digestible to see what's there. You see what's there, what's not there, what makes you happy, what makes you unhappy.
Isn't that like the omnibus bill? Anything that they weren't able to pass during the session, try to get in the last bill so it's passed right the deadline so they can get it through?
And that was this year we had one of those bills, but that was passed a couple days prior. So that wasn't shoved in at the end. But the bonding bill, so we have this bonding bill, 11:30 at night. You go through a couple things to get it all informed and stuff like that. We voted about a quarter to midnight, to which the average person should rightly say 15 minutes before you're done with session and you're finally passing something. I can only say with confidence, trust me or not, I can only say with confidence that there was still plenty of time. But it does have to be physically. Here's kind of one of the funny things in government. You can't yell to the Senate, we passed the bill. They have to physically be carried across the street. So we had this guy walking across the street, ironically with the green lane that he had to cross first, and he goes over and brings it over to the Senate, and they have it with about 15 minutes left. Now remember, this is the agreed-to bonding bill. This is, the best way I can describe this is if you've been thinking about buying a car for a couple months and you finally determine the one, and it's sitting there on the lot, you sit down with your contract, and they say, let's look over the contract one more time before you sign it. It's that sort of time frame. We're talking minutes that they needed to do this. But with about 5 or 6 minutes left before midnight, I think it was actually 4 or 5 minutes left, there was a Senator Lance, who threw an amendment on the Southwest Light Rail. And there's just one problem with that. The House had finished their business because we passed the bill and sent it over to the Senate, and we gavelled out, we adjourned for the summer. So he tries to put this amendment on. As he's passing it, there's computers open with TV monitors and stuff, and they said, hey, the Senate or the House is adjourned for the summer. So Senator Benson, who's actually from this area, she grew up in this area, the Collins family, she made a motion to reconsider the amendment. They took it off, and they still had 2 minutes to pass the bonding bill, which I know doesn't sound like a lot of time, but they had the time to pass the bonding bill, and the people that wanted the Southwest Light Rail just ran the clock out so that we can have discussions like this. So I'm sorry the government works that way.
Dirty politics.
I'm sorry the government works
Dirty
that way.
politics.
And I don't like, one thing that people hate more than dirty politics is when most politicians start pointing the fingers, so I apologize, but I point my fingers at Senator Latz because of what he did. Earlier in the day, 5 hours before, Senator Bach, the majority leader in the Senate, came to Kurt Dowd and said, we don't have enough votes for this bonding bill. There's 7 Democrat senators who are saying that they will not vote for the bonding bill if there is not light rail on it. And you need 60% vote. And I can tell you the Senate Republicans hate bonding bill, so it's tough to get their votes. But this was a decent bonding bill. It was decent. And Kurt Dowd, the speaker, said, if I can get you those votes in the Republican House, will you move forward? He said, yes. We got 9 votes. So they had the votes. So what Latz did was he threw that amendment down on the table. Because he wanted the Southwest Light Rail. He thought we'd never say no to that because then we have this special session stuff that people don't like. So there are some good things in there that I think we need to do, but if we don't do them, there will be tomorrow. We will be able to do it tomorrow. That was a long explanation. I know that, but I knew you'd want to. I think I knew you'd want to know the whole thing, right? So if that was too long, I apologize.
But you are going to rebuild Highway 12 this year.
Yeah, MnDOT is. I'm not doing that. MnDOT, they did it, yes, there is the money. They did up the Kirkhoven last year. And that's another thing is this bonding bill money was set up for 2 years from now because they already have the funding for the next 2 years. One of the challenges in Minnesota when we talk about big dollars on spending, it sounds good. $1 billion is better than $100 million, right? But in Minnesota we have a construction season because we have winters. There's only so much we can pump out in a year. And we've gone to MnDOT and said, how much more can you do in a given year? And it's not real clear. So if we had passed, originally the governor wanted $20 billion over 10 years. It wasn't clear if MnDOT could even spend that money. We couldn't get an answer from them. But it sounds good.
Or if I do quite a little travel. And Highway 12 is the absolute worst road I've ever driven. It's bad.
Can I tell you a funny story? You want to hear about Stephen Pond? This is where legislators can be children, okay? So, and I'm probably not exempt from that. There's things that I thought were funny and I laughed at that afterwards I should be embarrassed by. But there's just ironies. And one of the things people try to do is they try to make a point, sometimes through being sarcastic. So Highway 12, when I was campaigning 2 years ago, I had someone in Kirkhoven who referred to Highway 12 as that goat trail. And I thought, yeah, he goes, that goat, when are you going to fix that goat trail up there? I thought it was kind of funny, so I used it in my campaign. I had a letter to the editors that referred to the goat trail. Well, in the 2015 session, the minority leader, Paul Thiessen, on our transportation omnibus bill that we did pass in 2015, presented an amendment that would have renamed, hear me right, the amendment would have renamed Highway 12 in Swift County the Tim Miller Goat Trail. He was trying to make a point on something. The point I thought was actually kind of lost on remembering. But in any case, that isn't where the funny part is. The funny part is we have Phyllis Kahn. She's a state representative. She's been there since 1971. She's still in office. That's a couple of years. You were probably like 12 years old in 1971. So, but anyway, she stands up and she was like, Mr. Speaker, point of order. And she says, statute number, clearly says that you cannot, now remember, this is a Tim Miller goat trail. You really think it's going to be fast? No. Okay? Well, she stands up, and she's a wonderful woman. I love her. She's a character. But she said, statute thus and such number clearly states that we cannot name a highway or this or this or this against someone that is alive, or name it for someone that is alive. To which Representative Hamilton, who's south of here, says, well, Representative Miller raised his hand. So I raised my hand, and he said, Mr. Speaker, let it be known that Representative Miller is most assuredly alive, and I support this being called out of order. So I have an actual amendment. Here's what's kind of fun is, in the, this isn't a very honoring thing, but the official House Register is its volume book, and they record everything that's officially spoken on the House floor. So any of my bills, anytime that I'm spoken, it's in history, in perpetuity, is in the register. It's kind of neat, but the motion to pass, or the amendment to pass the Tim Miller goat trail is there in perpetuity as well. So I printed a copy of it and had it framed in my office. You gotta laugh sometimes.
They can sure use that goat trail against the prison. I think that's one of the reasons they don't want to acknowledge prison.
Yeah, I think their biggest issue is we have
all the time getting doctors on this.
Yeah, but we were able to show when Deep did a study and they determined we had the late reports out there for it. So that was their reason really kind of comes down to the egocentricity of the urban core. They want stuff there, and AFSCME, the public union that would be the primary union out there, they're the most outspoken about this. And I've continually asked, why would they have a problem with increasing the ranks of 300 to 600 union employees out there? Why would they have a problem with that? And I still don't totally understand that. The only conjecture is that the AFSCME chapter that runs the urban center stuff is different from the AFSCME chapter that runs rural Minnesota stuff, and they don't get along. So it's politics within politics.
You see that, because I belong to a couple of unions. You see that in a union, you know, where you are this branch, and I'm a different branch, and our branch, we don't play nice. And it's just, and you try to keep that union front in front of negotiations to be there, but in actuality, I can see that happening very easily.
So, that argument is only going to stand for so long because the Department of Corrections had a bonding bill before session that they actually submitted for $141 million, and then they withdrew it. And in the Senate hearing that I was at where they said, why did you withdraw that bill? We recognize that we don't have the need. We don't have a need for prison beds anymore. And why'd you ask for 100? They do. Again, using their own numbers. I didn't make these numbers up. So.
I gotta change the subject.
Yep.
I read that, well, I only read the headlines, but anyway, the university does abortions and may become so arts. And I was just wondering what like an ordinary person, is there anything, what should we do about that?
Well, here's what's happening, and here's what you can do about it. Did any of you see those videos that came out last year, like the secret videos into Planned Parenthood? Okay. So, kind of in the aftermath of that, there was, let me get my story straight here for a second. There was one of those videos showed that they were actually selling aborted baby parts for research. Well, Alpha News, which is kind of this small upstart news group, went and researched and found out the University of Minnesota was one of the places that were doing this research, and they actually had invoices proving it. And so Abigail Whelan, she's a state representative, she's 28 years old from Anoka, and she has a backbone of steel. She's an incredible young woman. She's going to do great things in her life. And she even though she's an alumni of the University of Minnesota, she says this is wrong, and she went after him. And when she first asked the question, the University of Minnesota said, no, we're not even doing this. Then they showed them the invoice, and they said, oh, we were doing it, we didn't realize it. Well, there's also, we believe they violated 2 state laws. The one we can't really prove, one we can definitely prove. But the one we can't prove, we believe they did is so the University of Minnesota is buying aborted babies for research. So they aren't selling it, but they're buying it. One of the laws is that you cannot, well, there's three of them. One, you can't buy them from in-state. They have to be bought out of state, which I don't know what that matters, and they claim that's what they're doing. Another one is you cannot purchase them with that person you're paying making a profit off of it. Well, that's kind of an ambiguous thing because how much is profit, right? So they say they didn't violate it because they're only paying the cost of getting the material. Material meaning baby organs and limbs and brains and stuff like that. But what they did violate very clearly is we have a disposal law in Minnesota that any babies that are aborted, whether used for research or not, have to have what's called a dignified burial or cremation. They literally have to be buried like any other person would be buried, or they have to be cremated like any other person. And the university's own admission, this is only an attorney could do this, is they said we recognize that we were not appropriately disposing of the remains, but we feel that we did not break the law. I'm like, well, the law says we have to. So that's what was happening, and we had legislation that was. No, I'm good, thank you. What the legislation that we did was intended to do was basically make them more transparent and basically effectively stop doing this. And in their testimony, and this is where Abigail Whelan, all 28 years old, she's like 110 pounds soaking wet. She's sitting at a testifier table. She has the president of the University of Minnesota. She has the vice president of research and the dean of the College of Medicine, all sitting at the table, and they were basically buckling under her pressure because she did not back down. It was amazing what she was doing. But she got the bill, we got it passed out of the House. The governor got kicked out in conference committee because the governor wasn't going to sign it. So what we did get passed, though, is the legislature has the ability to do audits of any company or agency that gets taxpayer money. We're allowed to do an audit on them. And there's a process by which we determine who gets audited. And at this time, the University of Minnesota is being audited on this practice. And so we will know exactly what they were doing, and we'll know if it broke the law. Now, what is most upsetting, if it isn't upsetting enough that the University of Minnesota is doing this, what's even more upsetting is they say it's an absolute must for us to do research, which is not a true statement. We have proof of that. That's one of the things Abigail clarified. But number two, the reason why because we said use babies from stillborns that people approve of, whatever, just not aborted babies. This is the president of the University of Minnesota's words, not mine. We need aborted babies because that material is fresh. They use the word fresh. Now see, to someone like him, this is just, he doesn't get the problem. The stuff is going to be wasted anyway. So that was most upsetting to me. And we had meetings with regents, I had meetings with the president, with that vice president, and I was very clear on where I stood on this. I did not mince words. So to answer your question, what can people do? You can speak up loudly about it.
To the legislators or to
The governor,
the university?
all of the above.
Oh.
The old school letters, emails, exposing it to other people, because I don't think most people in Minnesota know this is going on. It's just, it's reprehensible to me. And I have to use those words to the president. He doesn't care for me. One of the things they did after that hearing is that they sent out an email to all alumni. Remember, when I say all alumni, they sent out an email that was basically full of lies and a hit piece on us legislators. Well, as I said, Abigail Whelan is an alumni. So she got the email, and she was upset. She didn't know what to do, and I wrote the University of Minnesota president and their government relations person, and I said, this is inexcusable. They refused to apologize. That's something, okay, so like, if there's someone during an election year, someone doesn't like something about me, you do a letter to the editor, okay, it's understandable. Government agencies are not supposed to be doing that in the University of Minnesota. They sent out a hit piece on us legislators. We caught them.
Well, what's your chances against Fulton?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm being sarcastic, okay? I believe that I have worked hard enough, and I believe I have done, as I said in the beginning.
See campaigning already?
But I like where I'm at. As I told you, elections are fun. But I'm working hard. I am campaigning very hard. I have to leave in about 2 minutes because we're outdoor now. So I have to get down to where I'm on a video today. So with 2 minutes left, any other questions? Appreciate Joe coming out here.
We appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
How many lobbyists are on the table right now?
Oh, at the moment, I don't know, probably not. But I know what you mean. How many lobbyists are down there? A lot. Yeah, the one thing that I've been educated a little bit is there's actually two types of lobbyists. There is kind of like a good witch, bad witch. There's good lobbyists, bad lobbyists. There are some lobbyists. The best example I can use of a lobbyist that is helpful is Autumn Leva. She left now. We have a new woman coming in. But Autumn Leva's with the Minnesota Family Council. And they just have the ability to take time and do things that you don't. So like when I need to have my bill written on the bathroom, they help me with, there's this attorney group out of Phoenix called the Alliance Defending Freedom. They take up cases like this. Well, they help me craft my bill that would stand up against courts. So I couldn't have done that if I didn't have Autumn help me with that. So that's, now in the case of not so good lobbyists, and I won't name the group because then I'd be naming names definitely. But they came to the legislature this year with a false premise, and we're telling people throughout the community false information in order for us to pressure us into spending money in a certain area. And it was a lot of pressure because it sounded compelling. And this lobbying agency, they were asking for they're asking for $43 million for this effort, and they were getting paid. This lobbying group is getting paid $1.2 million to have it happen. So what do you think their motivation was? To make sure that $43 million got spent, right? Yes. Okay, I got to turn off my legislative switch right now. Yes, July 21st, I'm down at July 21st down at the Hinterland Winery. Come on. It's just going to be, I love these little farm wineries. I don't know if you guys have ever been to them. They're absolutely delightful.
Farm what?
Farm wineries,
Oh, winery.
vineyards.
Yeah.
So there's one outside Clara City, and it's a fundraiser. But I'm gonna have an event out there. But it's just gonna be get together. If you want to do a wine tasting, they have you taste 9 different wines. Which I'm a lightweight, that would put me under the table. But you can do that. That's on me. That's kind of my gift to you guys coming out.
Where's it located?
Right off of the eastern edge of Clara City. It's about a half a mile out of town and about a mile north.
Is that where you had it last time?
Yes, exact same place.
Okay.
And the place is wonderful. It's a young couple that moved back to farming, which I always am encouraged by. And they had a little patch of land, too wet and too clay. It's something it never grew that. Something it never grew that well, but it's whatever the soil is perfect for vines. And so they literally just started experimenting, and they sort of fell in love with it. Now they have some award-winning wines out there. But it's fun. It's not going to be pressure. Indoors, outdoors. Yeah, they have a nice little indoor place, but if it's nice out, they have a court. So I'd love if anyone wanted to come.
Pretty labor intensive winery things. I would say.
And they told me they've thrown away more batches than they cared to admit with learning. Because they literally just learned on there, they got excited about it, and they invested in it. It is very labor intensive. And you don't always know what you're going to
I
get.
would waste it. I'd feel like I have to drink drink the bad stuff. Yeah, all the good stuff.
You got some bread while you're here?
Yeah.
But you know, in agriculture, dairy, beef, poultry are native to small farmers.
Yeah. I know. I see some small operations, but it's basically not. Excuse me. Dairy, I'm seeing a little bit of an effort of, out here we have the Queensland Dairies, East Dublin, West Dublin, but the Dublin Dairies, the Fair Brothers on Riverside. I've talked with Mike Yost quite a bit on this, and I see an effort with them working with the smaller producers of how can we benefit from where they're at. Let's say it's been successful, but I know that they're trying to do that. Understanding that the smaller producer is an important role. The big issue I see is, and I'm not the expert, but what I've seen is with the processing, how that works and how it's going to work. They control a lot, understandably. Anyway, thanks all. I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna swing by the